Hey guys, Prowl1701 here, and today we are discussing part 2 of ranking the eras in Doctor Who. Now, if you haven't seen part 1, I would suggest checking that out. I should have a link to that down below, because not only do I discuss the first half of the list, but I also discuss the criteria around the list and how I'm ranking things and stuff I am ranking, stuff I'm not ranking. Pretty much all of that is discussed there. I would check out that video first and then come back and check out part 2 right here. Now, there were 12 entries on this list. We discussed the first 6 of those in part 1. So here in part 2, we will be discussing the second 6, which is the top 6. And we'll be starting with the 11th Doctor's era, Matt Smith. I really like Matt Smith. I think he's a good Doctor. I really enjoy him as an actor. And he does a really good job here. His era, much like Capaldi's era, is very up and down. I think his best outing is his first season, Series 5. Because I really like a lot of that here. I think the 11th Hour is objectively the best post-regeneration story we've ever had. It's my second favorite, but objectively I think it is the best. It's really well made, and it's what definitely confirmed to me that I love post-regeneration stories when the Doctor just kind of hits the ground running. I don't like a lot of post-regeneration trauma. I really like him to kind of get moving so we get an idea of him. I really enjoyed Beast Below. I think it's an underrated story. It really shows a lot of his character. And that's also where you see how much he likes protecting children. I enjoy that. Victory of the Daleks, very underrated Dalek story. Pretty much an inferior version of Power, but still has a lot of good stuff going in it. I actually have a video called Why Victory of the Daleks Was Almost Awesome. Some of the other ones in it that are really good, Vampires in Venice, I really liked just because it completely takes a turn you don't see coming with the villains. I liked that. Good way to throw me a curveball. Plus, there's some humor in it that I really enjoyed. Vincent and the Doctor sucked, but we've already talked about that. And why I hate Vincent and the Doctor, but that's a whole nother video I've already done. The two-parter is good and very trying to think of the word to put it. It's very high stakes in the finale, but I think it's a good finale. It did leave some questions. They didn't get tied up until later, but I enjoyed it. And I also like The Lodger because I love the 11th Doctor with Craig. The 11th Doctor with Craig is just great. I love the chemistry that they have together. Season 6 still has some standout episodes. I love the two-part that opens the season. I enjoy The Doctor's Wife. I like A Good Man Goes to War. The second half of the season still meshes well with the first half of the season. They feel like one whole season. Let's Kill Hitler's kind of weird. Don't really care for it. Night Terror sucks. The God Complex sucks. I forget. That might actually be from Series 5, isn't it? I don't remember, but it sucks. The finale here is very weird, but I still enjoy it. I like Amy and Rory. They're good companions. They do get a little played out, and I do wish they kind of left at the end of season 6, the kind of will they, won't they thing, which would also happen with Clara. I find a little annoying with the will they stay or will they go. Boy, they would have really liked the clash. Clara with Matt, I like. I've talked before how much I don't like Clara. That's with Capaldi. I actually like Clara with Matt. I like parts of season 7. It's also a very mixed bag. Asylum of the Daleks is fun. It's a very flawed story, but it's fun. Dinosaurs on the Spaceship, stupid. Town Called Mercy is easily the best of season 7A. I like it a lot. It's got a lot of heart to it. Nice to see some of Matt Smith's dark side in it. Power of 3 is not really good, but has some great moments in it. I like the introduction to Kate here. I like when the Doctor's bored and killing time, but it's other than that, it's pretty bad. And it's definitely a sign that Chibnall doesn't need to run the show. Angels Take Manhattan, I don't really care for. I don't hate it, but I don't really care for it. Season 7B I really liked because I enjoyed the snowmen in between. Season 7B really is its own beast. I like the Bells of St. John. I like The Name of the Doctor. I like Hyde. I like Crimson Horror. Really, the only one I don't like is Journey to the Center of the TARDIS. So his is very up and down, like most of Moffat's run. It's very up and down, but I enjoyed the stories that are good. I'll put it that way. Next on the list is the Williams era, seasons 15, 16, and 17. They're a bit mediocre, with season 15, I think, being the strongest. You have The Horror of Fang Rock, Image of the Fendal, Sunmakers being underrated, but really another strong Robert Holmes script, a great satire on the tax man. But then you also have the Invasion of Time, which, while not being bad, is kind of weak as a season finale. You have Underworld, which is underrated and is actually a pretty good story, but not the best execution with the bad CSO work. And I haven't seen The Invisible Enemy. But I do think Horror, Fang Rock, Image, and Sunmakers really pull this one up, the Williams era up. Season 16 doesn't have a lot of really standout stories, but it still has good stuff. The Pirate Planet is good. The Ribos Operation is good. There are parts of the Stone of Blood I like. Androids of Terra is easily watchable. And I think the Armageddon Factor is underrated. It's really just Power of Kroll holding it back. This one's kind of the middle, though. It's very in the middle. It's not super great. It's not bad. It's just in the middle. I'd probably rank it on the bottom of the Tom Baker seasons, but there's a lot going on for it. Season 17 has some bad going on to it. Horns of Nimon is not really that good. And while I haven't seen Nightmare or Creature, I also hear they're not that good, although I also hear they're underrated. Destiny of the Daleks is the most mediocre Dalek story ever made. I have a whole video called about that. But what it does have going for it is Shada and City of Death, which are two of Tom's best stories. I mean, even if I'm ranking my top 10 Tom Baker stories, Shada and City of Death are on there. City of Death is my favorite Doctor Who story, period. So while it's not as flawless as, say, Hinchcliffe's era, there's still a lot of good stuff going on here in this. Plus, I really like Romana 1 a lot. Romana 2 I don't care for as much, but I like Mary a lot. And Tom is still great. Tom really does bolster episodes he's in. He's just, even Horns of Nimon, which isn't a great story, Tom is amazing in. Oh, you don't worry your pretty little head about it. You just focus on holding that gun steady. I love that. That's hilarious. So that's where I've put the Williams era. Number 4 on the list is the Russell T. Davies era. Seasons 1 through 4 and the specials. Very, very good outing. Really, the only Rocky season at all is Series 2, which is very up and down. And even Series 2, the ups are very up. There's not too much middle ground here. The stories are either total crap or really good in Series 2. Whereas in the other seasons are just pretty much all good. Series 1 is amazing with really not much in faults for me. Maybe Unquiet Dead, but it's not because it's bad. I just find it unnerving. Series 3 is my favorite series of the modern series, probably. It's just, there's no bad spots in here. The lowest ranked would probably be 42, and it's still good and watchable. There's no bad stories in Series 3. Series 4 oftentimes is considered the best, although I personally hate Midnight and Turn Left. I can't stand either one of those stories. But there's so much good going on in Series 4. Then you have the specials, which are really good. The only weak point I put in them is Waters of Mars, even though I know most people love that one. I actually really love Planet of the Dead and The Next Doctor. I think they're both underrated. End of Time, I think, is a great send-off for Tennant. It's also underrated. So yeah, the Russell T. Davies era is so good. I mean, some of the best Dalek stories of all time come from this era. And then you could tell he was someone who had a good understanding of Doctor Who, or Russell is someone who has a good understanding of Doctor Who, really understands things like the Daleks and the Cybermen. The Cybermen have never been done better in the modern series than they are in this era. The Daleks have never been done better in the modern series than they have been in this era. The Russell T. Davies era is the best era of modern Who, period. Moving up on the list at number 3 is the Second Doctor era with the Base Under Siege stories. I really love Troughton. I really love this era. The Second Doctor is so good. He's so awesome. He's so adorable to watch. I love my little cosmic hobo. The stories here are so good. Even the ones people consider bad, I tend to enjoy. Like, I really like the Crotons. I think it's very underrated. Maybe the next time I watch it, because I have just seen it the one time when I bought the DVD last year, maybe I'll think differently on a second viewing. As you know, that happens sometimes. I really like the Macra Terra. I knew people didn't think as much of it, but I think what the animation does with it really brings it up in my eyes. It's really only a couple of his, like the Faceless ones, while not being bad, I just find a little uninteresting. I love Power. I love the Moon Base. Probably it could be my favorite Dalek Cybermen story. It's really good. There's just so many good things. The War Games is such a great final Doctor story. The Invasion is so good. So many iconic images. from the invasion, and I love the fact the Cybermen don't even show up till halfway through it. The human villain Vaughn is so good in it. Web of Fear, so much tension and so much claustrophobia going on in those tiny sewers and those crammed in spaces. There's just so much good about the Troughton era. I absolutely love those 3 seasons. I think they're gold. Number 2 on the list is the Barry Letts, Terrence Dicks era, or the Third Doctor era, those 5 seasons. I think they're phenomenal. I think this is when you have the perfect storm of good directing, good script writing, a good actor playing the Doctor, and a script editor and a producer that just fought with one mind. I mean, Barry Letts and Terrence Dicks just always seemed on the same page. You watch all the behind-the-scenes stuff when they're talking about each other, or when other people are talking about them, and they just seem like they Vulcan mind melded together. They always seem to be on the same page. They were actual friends in real life. John Pertwee is so good as the Third Doctor. There's never been anyone play a serious Doctor better than he does. You have like Hartnell, Colin, and Capaldi, and none of them come anywhere near playing that kind of serious Doctor as well as John does. John is just so good. He's serious without being annoyingly arrogant. I won't say he's not arrogant. He can be arrogant at times, but he's not that form of arrogance that puts you off like some people feel towards Colin, or like Series 8 Capaldi, or Season 1 Hartnell, where it can just rub you the wrong way. I love the way John plays this role. I love his companions. He has Liz, who I love Liz. I love a companion that's, while not his intellectual equal, is still intellectual enough to know what's going on. She's very smart for a human. I like Jo. Jo, while completely different in Liz, it's just nice how her and the Third Doctor bond, and her departure is one of the saddest companion departures, I think, in the whole series. And, of course, Liz. I really like Elizabeth Sladen. I love Sarah Jane Smith. She's my favorite companion, and her and 3 are really good together. In the 2 episodes I've seen them, I haven't seen a lot of season 11. And then just the stories seem so good in this era. There's not a lot of misses in the Pertwee era. There's just not. And even some of the ones I find misses are not always found misses. Like, I don't care as much for Ambassadors of Death, but some people love Ambassadors of Death. I didn't care as much for the Daemons, but I do know in the fandom the Daemons is considered a really good story, and yes, I really need to rewatch it, and I need to watch the omnibus version of it. Somebody pointed that out to me recently. I might enjoy that more. The Time Monster, while not considered the best, I know some people who love it, despite it being a bit naff, as one person put it. And Season 11, Invasion of the Dinosaurs, has a reputation while having bad effects, but everybody says it's a beautiful story. I'm looking forward to seeing that one. So it just seems like there's not a lot of misses in the Pertwee era, and that's pretty impressive. And then number 1 on the list is, of course, the Hinchcliffe era, the Philip Hinchcliffe era, Tom Baker's first 3 seasons. Because there has never been a more consistently good era, I think. Because some of the stories are debatable, but I really think of the 3 seasons, 12, 13, and 14, there is only one story I don't like, and that's the Android Invasion. I don't like the Android Invasion. That is the only bad story in the bunch. All the others are at least good. Now, some people feel differently. Some people don't like Revenge of the Cybermen. I have mentioned on this channel many times how much I find Revenge of the Cybermen to be very underrated. I love Revenge of the Cybermen. I think it's a really good Cyberman story, and Tom is really good in it. Because for me, Season 12 is flawless. Every story in Season 12 is really good. Not just good, really good. Even in Sultarian Experiment is really good because it doesn't overstay its welcome. At 2 parts, that's perfect for it. Robot, really, really good. Some of that for personal reasons, but I think it's a good story. Ark in Space, classic. Genesis of the Daleks. I mean, do I really have to explain Genesis of the Daleks? Season 13 could be the best season of Doctor Who ever made. Again, Android Invasion is really the only weak link here. I have a whole video called The Weakest Link, Season 13, where I talk about that. All the other stories, Terror of the Zygons, perhaps a little bit overrated, but really, really good. Planet of Evil, very underrated. Fantastic story. And the jungle setting for that is absolutely amazing. Pyramids of Mars, one of the best Doctor Who stories ever made. Seeds of Doom, one of the best Doctor Who stories ever made. Brains of Morbius, one of the best Doctor Who stories ever made. An amazing season. Season 14, Mask of Mandragora. Good. Really, really good. a bit weak in the ending. Really, that's it. I love some of the stuff in it. Like I love Tom's line when he's talking to the Count. You can't count, Count. I love that. That scene when he's talking to him and the Count's asking him if he can tell him his future. Can you see the future? Sometimes. Will you tell me my future? No. Why? Because you don't have a future. Not if you don't listen to me. Tom Baker had his serious face on. That's such a good scene. The ending is a little contrived, but it's a good story. Hand of Fear. The first 3 parts of Hand of Fear are gold. Episode 4 falters a bit. It does falter a bit, but still, really good story. You have Face of Evil. Fantastic. Underrated story. Very good. Robots of Death. A bit overrated, but really, really good. It's a classic for a reason. Talons of Wing Chiang. Yes, some people have some issues with it today. Those people are stupid. Ignore them. It is made really well. It is another fantastic Robert Holmes script, and it doesn't need a parental warning. It doesn't need any kind of warning in front of it. It is just an amazing Doctor Who story, and it's considered an amazing Doctor Who story because most people with brains judge it by its actual merits and its script, which are amazing. So you have 3 seasons of Doctor Who that are almost without fault. The only story I point to as bad in it is Android Invasion. Everything else is really good to phenomenal. And it is my favorite. Plus, Tom is just on the ball here. He really made the role his own here. Plus, we have Sarah Jane for most of that run, and Sarah Jane is the best companion ever, in my opinion. And then toward the end of season 14, we also get Leela, and I love Leela. I think Louise is great in that role as well. So that is me ranking my favorite eras of Doctor Who. What do you think? Do you agree with my list? Do you disagree with my list? How would you rank them? I'm curious to see that down below. Comment down below because I always enjoy interacting with you guys. Other things to do, click the like button, click the subscribe button, click the bell for notifications. If you would like to contribute to the channel, I do have a Patreon page you can contribute to down below. There is a link down there for that, and I always appreciate anybody checking out that page. Most importantly, though, stay safe out there, and thank you for watching.